This is not a constitutional republic. When you think about what powerful forces, anti and unconstitutional forces, are putting their big fat thumbs on the scale of our elections here. I'm Dr. Duke, and this is Constitution Corner. And never in our history, not our recent history, perhaps not since the Civil War, and maybe even ever, have we been in such a perilous state with our constitutional understanding and our constitutional values. This election is a huge threat to constitutional order. And it has been for the last couple months of campaigning. On the one hand, you've got radicalized forces of progressivism in the street demanding radical changes to the nature of the country. They are demanding with violence, demanding with arson and looting and burning that America cease being America according to constitutional law. They want to remake this country. Their candidate, their figurehead of choice, Joe Biden, according to the most recent incident, the understanding of what happened in this election, will be president in January. And this begs a question for us as Americans. We got to begin to recognize that we are in this problem precisely because we have wandered away from the Constitution. We have wandered away from this document that has made us the safest, most prosperous people in the history of the world. And what do I mean by we walked away from it? At the Supreme Court, where you have the Supreme Court making odd decisions. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court makes these bizarre, unconstitutional decisions to allow voter registration, to allow ballots to be counted and sent in days after the election is over. This was ratified at the Supreme Court. John Roberts, who clearly does not like the president, who has voted against the president on almost every serious issue that has come to the court, has something clearly personal against Donald Trump, sided with the liberal justices to tell states like Pennsylvania, that's all right, for 3 days after the election, the ballots could keep coming in, which is funny when you think about it. States like Pennsylvania are just about to make the call when there are days left that they could be theoretically receiving ballots. This is a very odd situation. It's very constitutionally dangerous that different states have gotten different rulings from judges. Certain states have been allowed to or not allowed to do certain things. There's no regularity here. And I realize that it is our tradition and our history to allow states to handle elections in their own ways. But when you're dealing with situations where you can send ballots in without matching names, when names don't signatures don't match the name on the ballot, in some states now that has been mandated that you have to count those votes. The danger here of vote fraud is just too big. And that's what we knew was the constitutional problem with this election. Donald Trump did everything he could. He came storming back. We were watching him on election night. All those states those big states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, even Minnesota, Wisconsin, were starting to swing his way after months and months and months of historically bad polling. All right, the role of the media in this country, the First Amendment role of the media in this country, is a classic example of where the Constitution is being neglected. You've got media, and I include polling houses with this because they're critical forms of information that the media use to tell us what's happening in the country in terms of presidential elections. The media in this country has willfully made these mistakes. The fact that when you look at the numbers that have come in, whether Trump ends up losing or winning, the polls were horrifically wrong again, and they were skewed in every single instance to make it look that Biden had more momentum, had more support, had more enthusiasm. It's you take the First Amendment and you pervert the role of the press. The press is no longer a bipartisan press. It is no longer a press that is reporting the news. It is a press that is making news. Our social tech meeting, our Silicon Valley social tech houses who are censoring our president right now from protesting what's been happening, for daring to call out what he sees as the problem, while Joe Biden has been allowed to say pretty much anything over the course of this election. This is not a constitutional republic. When you think about what powerful forces, anti and unconstitutional forces, are putting their big fat thumbs on the scale of our elections here. The fact that you have, again, I mentioned this, violent crowds in the streets that support already one of the two positions, not the constitutional position. They support this. And so we got ourselves into this because at every level of our government, from the Supreme Court all the way to state courts, federal judges, we have a media that is absolutely in the tank for a particular candidate. We have disinformation flowing on the left side of the aisle without any regulation or censorship. Meanwhile, even accurate and timely news on the side of the right is being censored. We are in a very perilous state. A lot's going to happen between now and Christmas before all of this is sorted out. There are going to be lawsuits, there are going to be trials, there are going to be cases, and sadly for American constitutional values, there are going to be lawyers involved. But if there's anybody now who is going to pull us back in these next frenetic couple of months to some sense of order, some sense of constitutional foundationalism that we can move forward together as a people, it's going to have to be done through the law, and it's going to have to be done by referring us back to the Constitution that was ignored to get us in the problem. And the only way out of the problem is to go back to the Constitution. Are there judges? Are there courts? Are there lawyers? Are the American people ready to insist on that to preserve our constitutional republic? Don't just know your Constitution. As we see now, you really have to live it or you're going to lose it. This has been Liberty News Hour. As always, you can go to thenewamerican.com and jbs.org for more information on these topics, as well as more shows.